Hi everyone, this is Shibani. I work for the marketing team at Lead Squared. So thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. I see that we've been having more sessions for our users, such as yourself. So I'm so glad to be doing this again, and I really hope these sessions are useful to you. So today we will be discussing reports. It's all about reports and how you can manage your reports better. I have with me Rohit, who is going to take us through this session. He is the senior product manager at Lead Square. So, Rohit, tell me what all are we looking to cover in the webinar today?
Sure. Hey, Shivani. Hey, everyone. So today we will be covering what are the different types of reports that we have and how we can actually categorize and group the reports so that users can actually find and group and make it visible to them to reduce their clutter, right? So we know that we have about 150 170 reports that are there on the platform, plus if we are building custom reports for any of our clients, then they'll have even more than that, right? So now that basically means that they have close to 200, maybe even more than that reports that they will have to sift through to identify what reports they want to use. So what we are now going to show them is basically a way they can actually group those reports, categorize them, and share it with their user so that each user, when he logs in and opens his or her reports home, they only see the reports that are relevant to them. They don't see the ones that are not relevant to them. So it makes it easier for them to find it and easier for them to actually carry on with their work.
Excellent. I think it's a session for everyone. I should join in the session too. I am here. Now, quick note to everyone who has joined us. Thank you so much for joining us. Do introduce yourself. Say hi if you want. I would point out that we have our team of experts in the back end who are here to answer your questions. So I would let Rohit focus on his presentation. And if you have questions, please put it on the chat column itself. Our team of experts working on the reports feature will address your questions. So with that, over to you, Rohit. Please take it ahead.
Thanks, Shivani. Please let me know once my screen is visible to everyone. Okay. Okay. So before we get into what we can do, let's talk about why, right? So like I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of clutter on the reports homepage where we have 22, 25 different categories plus multiple reports under each category, which means that it becomes difficult for the user to actually find and consume the reports that we have on the platform. So what we are trying to offer here is we are providing the capability to design your listing page for the user, right? You can remove the reports that are not needed, remove the unnecessary buttons on the screen, and only show what is relevant to them. We can also organize these reports under the different categories. So right now we have predefined categories, but you can actually move your reports between the categories so that the category name makes more sense for you, right? And we are also giving the capability to share and stop sharing these reports with your users in real time. So you can actually make changes, and those changes will directly impact the user immediately, right? We also have new capability called pinning a report. It is somewhat similar to the bookmarks section that we used to have earlier, where as soon as you open your reports home, the most important reports are right in front of you, pinned on your home screen, right? So these are some of the capabilities that we will be talking about. Okay. So we are doing all of this through the concept of something called report profiles. Okay. So what is a profile? Right? A profile is basically a list of reports and dashboards. If CRI is enabled, you would also have dashboards enabled. So a set of reports or dashboards grouped together, okay, that is called a profile, along with a sharing criteria. Now the sharing criteria basically tells you who can access this profile. Right now, the sharing criteria can be defined in terms of teams, in terms of roles, in terms of groups, or in terms of users. Now, any user that satisfies the sharing criteria will have access to this profile, which means he has access to the reports and dashboards that are defined inside this specific profile. Okay, so admin can effectively create multiple profiles based on their org structure, right? So they may have different ways the team is divided, and as per the definition of the organization and the reports that are consumed by each team, they can actually build these different profiles and group specific reports and dashboards inside these profiles, and that way the users can only see the relevant reports for them. So if you look at the diagram also, it basically shows you that. So each box is basically a profile which has a specific set of reports and dashboards. Some of them are also pinned, right? And the users that match to those specific profiles will only see those specific dashboards. So that's how it works. Okay. So if you've opened the reports home, now you will see that there is a new interface, right? So on the left panel of this interface, you will see, as an admin, you will see this pane where you have this concept of a profile, where you see view profile as MySpace. And if you open that click on MySpace, you have a drop down that basically lets you choose a profile. Okay. So the first item in this list is called MySpace. Now, MySpace is a admin's personal area, right? So where they see all the reports that are assigned to them, right? And if they create any reports using Sierra's report builder, they will see those reports as well. So basically, for any user, MySpace would be basically reports assigned by the profiles that are matched for that user, plus the reports that are created by that user. Okay. Now, a, an end user, a non-admin, will basically see only their space. So they do not have this drop down. By default, the view that they see is their MySpace. Now, admins have the capability to switch from MySpace to any other profile, which I will talk about next. Okay. Now, other than MySpace, we have something called a default profile. Now, the default profile is basically all the reports that Lead Squared provides out of the box, right? So the 150, 170 reports that we provide, all of that is sitting under default profile. Other than that, if we build any custom report for the organization, that also comes under the default profile. Now, this obviously cannot be deleted. Any other profile can be deleted, but default profile cannot be deleted. That is a system defined profile. Okay. Now, other than this, we have certain other profiles, right? We have predefined these 4 or 5 profiles so that the end user can directly access these profiles, right? Basically gives them a starting point, right? So we have created 4 profiles, one for a administrator, one for a sales user, one for a sales manager, and one for a marketing user. By default, all of these profiles have access to all the reports in the profile, in the organization, right, which is basically equivalent to the default profile. If that's how it starts. Now the user can edit these profiles and then group the reports as per the specific needs of the organization. If they want, they can even delete these profiles and rebuild the profiles from scratch based on their needs. This is just a starting point. This does not mean that they have to use these profiles. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, any admin, he can any profile he can select, he can edit the profile, he can delete the profile, and he can also create a new profile, right? Now, whenever an admin creates a report, or if he wants to add a report to a specific profile, they can add it to multiple profiles also, right? So a report can be added to multiple profiles, and a user can also be connected to multiple profiles. So for example, I can create a profile that says, for example, sales group Mumbai, right? For example, so any user that belongs to sales group Mumbai will have access to the reports and dashboards defined in this specific profile. I can also say a second profile which is for say user type sales user, right? Role is sales user. Now, if a sales user also belongs to sales group Mumbai, now he will see all the reports which are in the both profiles, right? Profile 1, which is for sales group Mumbai, as well as profile 2, which is for defined for only sales users. So in this way, you can actually group your reports and share the reports according to the needs of the organization. Okay. Now, if there is no profile attached to a user, in that scenario, they will see whatever is in the default profile, which is basically all reports in the default profile. Now, how do we actually create a profile, right? So if you looked in the previous screen, there is a button to click on, which says plus new profile, and you can click on that, and then you come to the create profile screen, right? So this is basically the visual representation of what I just spoke about earlier, where you see the left hand pane, which basically talks about how this profile will be shared, right? So you can say this profile will be shared to specific users, teams, roles, groups, users, right? Or you can say it's shared with everybody, in which case all the users get access to this specific profile, or you can say none. So none is basically used when you want to create a profile which can be accessed to everybody, sorry, which can be accessed to other admins also, because if you don't create any profile, a report will not be available to other admins as well, right? But you don't want any of these reports to be available to the user. So think of this like an archival profile which you're just keeping there, so that other, at some point in time, these reports may be pulled into an actual active profile. Okay. Now at the bottom of the screen, you also see a small link, click to check who has access to this profile. You click on this, it basically gives you the list of conditions that are applied on this profile, right? The sharing conditions. So it could be the list of users, the list of roles, the list of teams, or the list of groups. Now, on the right side, you basically define what are the reports and dashboards that you want to attach to this profile. Okay, so you can just check whatever dashboards you want to select, all right, by clicking on the check boxes that are available. You can click on this pin icon over here to pin this report to a profile. I will show you how this works, right? And once this is done, you can just enter a name for the profile up here and then click on apply and save. So once this is done, the profile has been created. Okay, now let me just talk about a scenario, right? I will actually talk about this on the presentation, and I will also show you how to implement this same scenario on the on an existing tenant where you can actually see this live, right? So let us assume that there is a scenario in an education system, in a, say, a college or a institution, any institution. We have different types of users. So you have counselors who are helping the students get admission into the college. You have team leads who are managing these counselors. You have an admission head who's looking at the overall admission process, and then you have admins who are basically managing the platform, right? So a counselor requires certain reports to perform their day-to-day activities. So those come under the bucket that we call counselor reports. Now, the team lead also requires certain reports to perform their activities. Now, some of them may overlap with the counselor reports and some of them may not. So they may have some reports which counselors also refer to. They may have some reports which are specific to their own requirements, right? Similarly, admission heads also will have certain reports which overlap. It can overlap with the counselor, it may overlap with the team lead as well. And it may be also something that only they look at, which no one else looks at. Now, admins would say that, look, we handle all of the reports, so we have access to all the reports, right? So taking this further, let us define it in terms of some reports itself, right? So in the example tenant that we were talking about, let's use that as an example, right? So here are two reports, right? The application stage funnel and a program-based lead stage breakdown. Now these are common reports which an admin would then provide access to admission heads, team leads, as well as counselors. Okay, that they would want to provide access to all of them. Now, there are certain reports which only team leads and admission heads may use, right? So like the counselor-wise application stage funnel, the productivity report, the program-wise course program stage-wise lead, and the lead enrollment conversion of the counselors. Now, maybe counselors do not need these specific reports. Now, there would be some reports which are specific to admission heads, but not required for team leads, right? Then there would be some reports that are very specific only to team leads, right? Not required for admission heads, not required for counselors, only for team leads, right? And then another set of reports which are only consumed by counselors. Now we can create profiles in multiple ways, right? So one easy way is to say, look, I will create one profile for counselors, one profile for team leads, one profile for admission heads. Now that is one way to do it, right? Another way to look at it is, now there are certain reports that are common to team lead. So I will create one profile which is the common reports, one profile which is the common to team lead and admission head reports, one profile which is only for the admission head, one profile which is exclusive to team lead reports, and one profile which is exclusive to counselor reports. Now the advantage of doing it in the second way is, if I wanted to create a report which had to be provided, which access had to be provided to all three users, say a third report came in which had to go to all three, I can edit only one profile, which is the common profile, right? Which is the common education reports profile, and that would ensure that the report gets shared with all three types of users. Whereas if I built individual profiles for each type of user, then I would have to edit three profiles rather than one profile. I hope that's clear. right? So in this way, basically have color coded this to be able to easily differentiate which reports are going into which profile. So in this scenario, I would create 5 profiles, right? So one would be the common education report profile, which would get access to all the 3 teams. One would be the team lead reports, which would get access to team lead plus admission head. The third one would be the admission head reports, which are only accessible by the admission head. The fourth is the team lead specific reports, and the fifth one is the counselor specific reports. I hope that's clear, right? Now, let me actually just show this in the demo, right? Let me just open my screen. Yeah. So I have logged in as a sales user here. I have already created, you can see that I have access only to 2 reports, right? I only have access to the application stage funnel and the program-based lead stage breakdown, which is basically these 2 reports. Now let me just open the admin view. I'll just open it here. Now I'm logged in as an admin on this screen, right? If you look at the common education reports profile, you will see only these 2 reports are available, which is why when I opened the page as a sales user, I only see these 2 reports, right? I don't have access to any other reports, and that's all I see. I can also edit this profile and say I want to pin the specific report for the user, right? So if I click on this, for example, and save this profile, okay, it also appears, that same report, the application stage funnel, also appears in the pinned section. Now let me just refresh this page and show you how that would look for the sales user. So you can see here the pinned section shows the application stage funnel. They cannot even unpin it. Now the idea of this is whatever reports are critical to the sales user in this scenario, I would pin it for them so that they don't need to navigate anywhere. They don't need to open any other tag. They don't need to go to all report. They don't even need to search the report by name. It is appearing right in front of them by default, right? Now I have created certain profiles already. We will also create one more right now. So for example, we have created the admission head profile, which is on the reports that are specific to the admission head, right? Similarly, we have also created the team lead profile. This is which is common across team lead as well as the admission head. Now let me create one more, which is basically uh, specific to the sales user, right? Which is the counselor. So for this, let me just open this here. So I'll just look for the names and I will just add them here. Okay. Now I will say this is specific to the lead counselor team, right? Then I will say status, and I'll say stats, and I'll say to enrollment conversion. Assume these 4 reports, and I say I want to pin this specific report as well. I will say put this to the sales lead counselors, and I'll call this the counselor specific. And apply and save this profile, right? So now the counselor specific reports are also defined, and this is applicable only to the counselors. Now let me just open the other user again, which is the counselor report. Now you would see all of these reports are visible here, and now there are 2 reports that are pinned. One pinned by the common report profile, and one pinned by the counselor specific profile. And now both of these are available, and they have access to no other reports except for the reports that we have defined. I hope this is clear. In this manner, we can actually define the different types of profiles for the user. Similarly, if you log in as a sales manager, you would, as a team lead, you would see the team lead specific. If I logged in as the admissions head, I would see the admission head specific reports. I hope this has been clear. I can actually start looking at certain questions right now. Yeah. just um, any questions?
Yeah, there are quite a few. I think they are being answered by the team. If there is something we need to pick up, I'm just trying to see. So, so everyone asking questions, I would now please request you to put it on the questions tab rather than chat, because it's very hard to read through so many questions here. I think one question I'll probably ask for the entire team here, for everyone who has joined, which is nearly 200. Is the new reports home free for all existing clients? Rohit, if you want to take that.
Yes. So the old reports home will soon be completely replaced. Right now, we have released the new reports home to all the users. They would be able to see it when they log in and open the reports page. They right now have a way to switch back to the old reports home if they are a little more comfortable, but that link will be removed soon, probably by the end of November. So we are basically in a transition phase today. So the idea of having this webinar and also answering these questions is so that people kind of get familiar with the capabilities of the new page and start using it.
Okay, and anything, if you could add on the specific user roles, is this just open to or visible to rather all the user roles or specifically admins?
Okay. So the capability to define the profile and to define which reports go under which profile, that is provided to the admins, right? But the profiles impact the end user. So whether it's a sales user, marketing user, manager, etc., and even other admins, right? So it impacts all of their pages and how their page looks. But the person who defines this is basically the admin.
Okay, and how big is the memory for the data? How far back can the reports be accessed?
So again, this would be specific to the report. Uh, but most reports have, I think, 2-3 years of data also. Again, it depends on the different types of data. So we would not be able to give that as a one line answer. So
Sure.
different reports may be able to handle different amounts of data to give you a report.
Okay. Yeah. Can I use an API from another application to access the data in the Lead Squared system?
This is not specific to reports, but yes, it can be done. There are ways to do it, not via API, but there are ways to do that. I think that would be something that you would want to take up with an account manager, who they'll be able to, depending on the specific use case that they're looking for, they'll be able to help them out in a better way.
Sure. Okay. Wow, there are so many questions, and I'm actually at a loss. Okay. I'm so glad though that our in-house team of Rishabh, I think Pranjal also, they're all helping out and responding to the questions here. Marketing related. Okay, I would probably say if somebody from the Sierra team wants to come and address any of the questions, please feel free to message this on the tab and I will bring you on, because I am seeing a non-stop uh, yeah, flow of questions coming, which is great to see. Does the application have the feasibility to customize a report, or should it be tailor-made report only?
Okay. There are some reports which have some amount of customization, the default reports that LeadSquared provides. But Sierra is our new reporting platform, which offers far higher customizability in terms of, you can even construct your own reports. So you can look into that.
Okay. I see there are some other questions on the types of important reports for different user roles. So that's another thing that people have asked. Yeah, I will say that if the Sierra team is around, please address those.
Which I'm not seeing the specific question. Could you help me out?
And to everyone who's joined, we're taking a while because there are that many questions. So if you could just please bear with us, I am just trying to find the question. Uh, yes, those who are asking for the recording, you will get the recording. Yeah. So Hira had a question. Can you specify the important reports under TL of sales user? So I sort of elaborated and sort of mentioned that if what are the different reports that are important for different user roles.
Okay, so again, that actually would depend on the kind of industry you're working in and how your team is set up. So I would not want to recommend any reports on this call, right? So that would not be appropriate
Mhm.
because the requirements would be different for different teams and different industries. But the idea of profiles was not to actually tell you what reports to use, but to help the team use the reports that they need. In terms of, once an admin or manager knows what reports they consume on a regular basis, the admin can then create profiles that can then be consumed by managers, by users, etc., so that they don't have to see the reports that are unnecessary for them. So looking at 150 reports versus looking at 5 or 6 reports only, and only having access to those 5 or 6 reports, it makes their life a lot easier. They don't get overwhelmed by the sheer number of reports that they're looking at, and they have access to. They don't know which ones to use, which ones to not use, which are relevant to them versus not relevant to them. So the idea is basically streamlining that page so that they get the reports that they need without navigating too far, and they get uh, they don't have to look around for what they need.
Right. Okay. Uh,
There was one question which I just saw in the chat saying, will the old report section be archived by November end? So yes, the idea is that the old reports will be completely archived. If there are any issues that you're facing today in the new page, which you could do in the old reports home, but you're not able to do in the new reports home, or if you're facing any difficulty, please let us know. We will look into addressing that as soon as possible.
and if there's anything else you want to address, Rohit, I think you have
Yes.
access to the, yeah.
Yes, I'm actually looking at the chat. Mr. Vishal requested, how do we allocate reports to RMs or their managers, as they both have sales user role? Okay, so in this scenario, you can actually provide access at a per user level. You can not only define access in terms of role or group or teams, you can also provide access in terms of specific users. So you can actually say this profile is accessible only to user A or user B, and that way they will only see that, only they will see the reports that are allocated in that profile. So you can do that. Okay.
Okay. I think somebody had asked for some help documentation. I'm just trying to look that up. Uh,
So there is a help document which I will just provide you on the screen itself. There was one that we had shared earlier in the chat as well. We'll just pull that up.
sure.
Yeah, I'll just put this. Okay, Rishabh, just put that on the chat. Yes. So you can please refer to this link. This actually gives you a pretty good explanation of basically whatever I explained on the profiles. This gives you a detailed walkthrough of how profiles can be created and how they can actually help in terms of categorizing the different types of reports for different types of users. So you can do this, you can break it up in multiple different ways, right? So I can break it up based on sales groups, I can break it up based on roles, I can break it up based on teams, I can break it up based on specific users within those roles and teams, etc. So you can create a very tailor-made experience for a user. So a user belonging to Mumbai, role team lead, can have a very different set of reports that he sees versus a team versus literally the person sitting next to him or her, in the same group maybe, but maybe not a team lead level, maybe they're a agent, right? So the reports that they see can be very different. So the idea is that they see only what is relevant to them.
Okay. And just because of the sheer number of questions coming in, I assure you we will address all of them. If not possible in this session, we'll definitely send you an email with the response. So that I will tell you, because we have our team of experts, we'll just get the answers and uh, send that across to you. Because some of the questions are very specific to your specific industry or the business you work for, and that is why we're not picking it up straight away right now.
Right. Okay. There was one question regarding training for the interface changes to the new interface versus the old interface. We can have maybe a round or two about that. I think Mr. Samrat has raised this. Though to be fair, the report page is fairly straightforward. You click on a report and it opens up, and whatever was categories is now tags. So other than that, there's not much change uh, in how the reports are structured. This basically becomes more relevant when you start using profiles, because then the profile defines what tags you see, what reports you see. We can probably, if there is any training required, we can probably discuss something around that.
Okay, yes, he said thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will probably ask you, Rohit, if there are any other questions you'd like to address.
I'm not. Think that's mostly it. We can. I think some of the other questions we'll have to address it individually, because they're very specific to their use case and very specific to certain reports rather than the report listing page in general. That would probably we have to we'll have to look into that in a little more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, yeah, there are so many questions. What I will say is that if you still have anything coming in further, please address it to me. Just respond to the email you received from me and ask your question, and I will ensure that it is answered and responded to from the Lead Squared side. Yeah, I can see a lot more coming in for specific industries. We will address all of them offline over email. And of course, if there are any specific calls needed thereafter, that will be done as well. Okay. All right, then. Thank you so much, Rohit, for taking us through this. And I hope it will be a smooth transition for all.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shivani. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
again, don't be worried. We have all your questions. It's recorded. We will certainly get back to you. If not, if not today, we'll definitely get back to you by the end of this week with a response. But we will try to wrap it up today. Today itself. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks, Mani. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.